money was a key aspect. We did a lot cheap.
Yeah.
But okay, Ohio in 2000 was in our community. It was easy to do a lot of stuff cheap. I mean, parades like crazy, and kind of wander around and shake people's hands and talk to them. And I mean, it's really amazing. You know, people even tell me now. I see them that like 20 years later, they say shaking your hand was the most memorable thing I from that year.
Wow, really? So
Yeah.
you had a great effect on people then.
Oh, I mean, just walk. It's the 4th of July parade. I did 3 parades on 4th of July, and I just walked the parade route and shook hands and said, "Hi, I'm Rick Wood, run for Congress. Please support me." And the biggest parade in Summit County was at Stowe, and there were like 25,000 people on that parade route. And they, people were like, "Man, I remember shaking your hand. That was great."
That's cool.
So those are kind of things you can do. I mean, probably one of the greatest. I know we don't have a lot of time here, but so I'm sitting there having to do. We had like 3 parades a weekend from Memorial Day to Labor Day. It was crazy. I don't know why they have so many parades in Ohio, but they just had parade. Every community's got a parade, so you got to do them all.
Different beast. I love it.
Pardon me?
Ohio is a different beast, and I love it.
Ohio's a great state. So I'm sitting there going like, well, I don't have a convertible. I needed a convertible to ride around on these parades and put my signs on the side. And I was like, so I prayed. I said, Lord, how am I going to do these parades? Well, a friend of mine from church, he raised Clydesdales horses. He's a large animal veterinarian, and the guy's like a massive guy. He's just the most nicest guy you ever met. And he says, "Hey, Rick, do you need to do some parades?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Well, I got this one Clydesdale I'm training to pull a carriage. And I mean, there'd be really good practice for him to do. Do you know how big a Clydesdale is?"
Oh, yes. They're massive.
Okay. So the sheriffs, when we show up at the first parade with this horse, they put me in the front of the parade because we had a horse. It was really awesome. Oh. And then not only that, this horse, this Clydesdale, next to the sheriff's horses. So these fat sheriffs are sitting on these horses. This Clydesdale was 2 times the size of these sheriff horses. This Clydesdale was looking down on these sheriffs. It was awesome.
Well, I love that you sought the Lord on it, right? So the Lord opened up opportunities, and you and I have had discussions about the end of your campaign, but the fact that the Lord provided what you needed, he gave opportunities that nobody would have thought of, right? Like nobody would have thought about Clydesdales. Instead of a convertible, I should bring a massive Clydesdale, or well, I should get a drum squad walking behind me. Yet the Lord was the creative one in that. And I think people forget that the Lord is part of the politics. When we have Christ in every sphere, Christ is with us, right?
Well, I mean, I believe he was part of the campaign. I mean, one of the decisions I made early on was I didn't campaign on Sunday at all. I wouldn't go to an event on Sunday. I just said, well, I got to rest. I was working a full-time job, and this campaign, I mean, it was like 100 hours a week. I needed a day off. So we did that. The second thing we did was, I believe like the handshaking was more than just a political thing. I think there was a transfer of something that happened for me through the Holy Spirit in the process of the handshake. And I look back and say it would have been life-changing had I won, and I'm really glad I didn't win at this point in my life. I think it would really, it could have messed up some stuff. So was it the thing to do? The Lord was in the campaign. He wanted me to do it. But when I didn't win, that was okay too. He was in on that too. It wasn't, and I don't blame him. I don't say, well, you set me up for this. No, it was because the process, that what we did, the people we talked to, the people we talked about with pro-life issues, the people we talked to, we were in one place, and I just said, look, it was a pro-life meeting, 30, 40 people there. And I said, let me ask you guys a question. A lot of the complaints, complaints is, well, what are you going to do with the babies that aren't wanted? I said, let me ask you something. If a woman decides not to abort her child, but says, I want to give it up for adoption, would we let that baby just go off to an orphanage somewhere? And 30 hands shot up and they said, no, we'd take it. We figure out something to do. We'd find a place for that home, for that baby. So, because they're like, wow, what are you going to do with the babies that aren't wanted?
Yeah.
We'll support the mother. We'll support the adoption. We'll support, we'll work with them to make sure they have health care and stuff, because we got all these pro-life organizations that we had. I can't remember the place we had in Akron, but basically we go there and, we had toys, we had teaching and counseling. And again, these are for women who decided not to have an abortion. And then we would also say, well, if it's not going to work out, we don't want you to be left holding the bag here. How can we help you? I mean, we had, stuff up for the kid, even the kid is 6 years old or something. So there was a lot of support. And there were a lot of people who said, yeah, look, you tell me this baby's going to, the choice is she's aborted or gets adopted. We'll do the adoption.
Yeah.
And it was a really fascinating thing, especially when somebody said, no, it's not going to work. You can't get rid of abortion because of this problem. And we'd say, no, we actually have it solved.